Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Deadman of Deadman's Tome, the man behind the horror magazine. Publish horror, dark fiction, short stories, flash fiction, what have you. Anything that's a story of the darker variety, really. If you are a writer and you write hard at or a piece of literature that no one wants to touch because it's so edgy, pushes the boundaries and everything like that, send it my way. I'm pretty sure it's going to find a home. I'm pretty sure. In fact, I have someone here with me that can testify to that. Mr. Clive Carpenter.
Are we on?
Yeah.
I see live. I see live. Good thing I wasn't scratching my ass.
Okay. No,
That's good.
You weren't picking your nose this time. I'll make sure it was that. So, Clive Carpenter, he wrote a Confession. Great short story. I mean, I did a piece on it. I do these things where I break down the commentary on the stories, just to add some, flavor to it, extra information. Kind of helps kind of encourage commentary, discussion, all that stuff. So I mean, I pretty much praise it in there, but instead of listening to it there, I guess you can listen to it here because that's probably what's going to happen. Firstly, Mr. Carpenter, what can you say about yourself? What's going on?
Well, a little bit about myself. I'm living in Michigan right now, just outside Detroit, with my fiance Margot and our little Yorkie Angel. I've been writing short stories since I was about 13. Got my first typewriter when I was a kid. Used to lock myself in my room and just write and write and write. In early 2000s, I became a filmmaker. A little horror film that I wrote and directed, produced, called The Shed, about a young couple who buy a house and the shed in the backyard is haunted. And published my first book last year, Brain Matter. It's a collection of horror stories. And then my second book was The Dead Reckoning. It's actually a novelization of a horror screenplay that I wrote. So.
Oh, okay, so you're pretty much well diversified. I mean, you don't just write short stories. I mean, it sounds like you are invested everywhere as far as like you made a movie, you write screenplays and all that.
Yeah, I'm a storyteller, man. I mean, that's the bottom line. I'm a storyteller. So,
how long have you been doing this?
I wrote my first short story when I was 13. But as far as, I mean, hitting it hard, a lot of my adult life, really. So I'm in my 40s now, so a long time. Finally getting, I don't really care about the fortune of the fame. I could care less for fame, but it's nice when people recognize your work and they're intrigued by it and they enjoy it. So yeah. Let me get my phone charger real quick.
Oh,
phone's dying.
No problem.
But yeah, I'm a photographer, artist, graphic designer, all the good stuff. So I actually taught myself Photoshop years ago so I wouldn't have to pay somebody to do all my art for me. And it actually paid off. So I do all my own, all my own stuff. So
that way you don't have to pay anybody. That way it's a cheaper way of going about it, right?
Exactly. It took me a while to get the hang of Photoshop. This is almost 10 years ago. But now I can design my own advertisements for my books, my own covers, and my own layouts and everything. Just do all of it myself. So movie posters, whatever, I do all that on my own. So
it's great. I mean, you develop a bunch of different skills that way.
Yeah.
Like a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
You ever feel like you're not really like a master of any one of them? Like, do you ever feel like it does help to kind of reach out here and there to kind of collaborate with others? You miss that?
Yeah. I got into filmmaking when I made my first little short film. It was about The Shed was about 26 minutes long. It cost me $250 to make. I won a couple of awards on it, and I decided that if I ever get to a point as a filmmaker or a writer where I think I've learned everything, I'll just quit, because you'll never know everything. when it comes to stuff like that. Even Spielberg he's an eternal student too. So, Stephen King is an eternal student to his craft as well. He's constantly researching content for his next story. You're always learning something. I mean, if you think you know it all, you should just quit, go home.
I mean, you're gonna have to, because if you think you know it all, you're not gonna learn. You're not gonna change. You're not gonna grow, because you already feel like you grow, right? You already feel like you've developed to where you need to be. So what's gonna happen is people are gonna pass you up.
Yeah, exactly.
Some could say the same as you mentioned Stephen King. Some could be like, well, sometimes his work seems kind of, like his older stuff is better, but you hear that. Maybe it's just that nostalgia. Maybe it's just.
We all have turds in the toilet. I mean, I like Stephen King. I like a lot of stuff that he's written in the past. Yeah, was good stuff. But some of the stuff that he writes, you see book to book, it just kind of gets monotonous. After a while, it's like okay, I've seen this before. I've read this before. I remember quite a while back, I could be wrong, but I read a couple of different books from him, and some of the characters' names were the same in both books, and it's like these books aren't even tied together. But I guess the characters' names, he just used them again. I don't know, and but that was a while back. I mean, it was years ago. I could be mistaken, but I could have sworn I saw that. But as far as research goes, when I wrote Confession, I researched mothers who kill their kids, just to kind of get an idea of what kind of person this could be. But of course, the story is total fiction. I wanted to write a horror story that you wouldn't find the character in the story horrific. And I'm an sweet old lady. It's a sweet little old lady until she opens her mouth and starts confessing this shit. That's what I wanted. I wanted to find horror in something so sweet and innocent that you think, oh, this sweet little old grandma. And she does something really nasty. So several times.
Yeah, several times. You nailed it. Because I was going to ask you, and for those that aren't aware of what we're talking about, if you haven't read Confession, do yourself a favor, do so. But that piece. First of all, to warn those that are going to read it and want to know a little bit more about it, I mean, yeah, it is a short story where, unfortunately, there are some kids that, quite a few of them, that don't make it, Some horrific things happen to them. Now, I said it before, my other video, is that you don't just have the kids die just to die. This isn't some sort of smut film. This isn't like a Saw with like toddlers. That's not what's happening here.
Yeah.
And you did the research. It reads like you did. In fact, I was going to ask you if you had any sort of pent-up mommy issues yourself.
No. I don't. Not like that. No, they wouldn't go that deep. I can tell you that. No, I'm a storyteller, man. And when it comes to writing horror, I want to write something that people are going to look at and go, what the fuck is going on here? And I think I nailed it with Confession. I mean, it's become my signature piece. I've written a lot of stories over the years, and people have read a lot of them. And every time they pick up a copy of Brain Matter, they get back to me. The first thing they say is, the first one's my favorite, which is Confession. And I appreciated the little plug there where you said it was by far perhaps the darkest story you've ever published on your website. That's cool. I did my job. So.
Yeah, it definitely is the darkest. I mean, I think before that, to be honest, else, not to really look at that, what it could really compete with. No. Okay, there's one other story that is pretty dark, but it has necrophilia in it and all that stuff. I mean, not that it's light.
Yeah, that is dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that one was, to be a little honest there, that one was kind of like, okay, that's one of the stories where it really seemed like it was trying to be edgy.
Yeah.
But it did have a point as far as just the man's final moments before he died in some sort of zombie apocalypse, whatever.
Okay.
So we know you don't have any pent-up mommy issues, maybe daddy issues. I don't know.
No.
No? Okay. So this story is not a reflection of you.
No,
Anyway,
no.
it's
None of
truly-
my stories are ever a reflection of me. No, it's fiction. That's all it is.
Okay.
Total fiction.
All right. I mean,
I like horror stories that push the envelope. It takes a lot of balls to publish it. It takes a lot of guts sometimes to write something like that, because I know a lot of places won't publish a story that has to do with killing dogs or animals or children. I know.
no, yeah. That's
Yeah.
a disclaimer on certain sites. I mean, you can just Google a list of magazines, horror zines, and you'll find plenty of sites that have that disclaimer there. We will not publish if it harms women, children, or animals. But I'm like, okay, hold on. Like, just about any other story is going to have a woman involved, and it's not a thing of misogyny. It's just like, people. Okay, in relationships, it's either going to be like you only have so many variables, and okay, it happens.
And like you said, it's not smut. When it's I don't like movies like the Saw movies. They irritate the shit out of me because it's just gratuitous violence for the shitty sake of being violent. It doesn't. To me, stories like that, they don't serve a purpose in horror. It's just like gratuitous. It's like, gratuitous sex scenes. It's like, did we have to see the gratuitous bloodshed and the sex scenes? There needs to be some kind of, I don't know. To me, some kind of content or something. It's got to be a purpose, and it's got to be a reason. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
I hear you.
With a story like Confession, it's not just thrown in there. There's a reason why the violence is in there to begin with. She's telling a story, and the Confession it's a hard one to talk about, to describe to people without giving it away. So I usually tell people, just read it.
Yeah, that was.
And
true.
I usually have them. I got them hooked by the first page. Usually, it's one of those stories that will hook you on the first page.
Your story should hook people on like the first paragraph, to be honest with you. Okay. So there's several things you said there, and I was like, okay, all right. Sorry, kind of lost my train of thought. All right, so with the mom, you said that it was hard to tell the story without giving it away. I found that to be difficult myself. To market the story, to kind of spin it, to kind of give people a reason to read it. Usually, sometimes I have to think of creative ways, because unfortunately, the way Twitter works and YouTube, Facebook, it's all about like what's kind of clickbaity, but not really. So it's like, okay, look, I was like, with this story, here's the challenge: if you can read through this without getting enraged and wanting to just punch your monitor, you win. You win.
Yeah. And I always tell people, it's just a work. It's a work of fiction. That's all it is. I've talked to people at comic conventions and book signings and stuff, and I tell them it's just a work of fiction, guys. It's a story. I mean, get over it. So, I mean, I really haven't had anybody come along and want to pull my teeth out for writing that story, but I've had a few people look at me and go, "What the fuck were you thinking?" And it's like, dude, it's just, I sat up one night and couldn't sleep until I wrote the story. So I wrote the story. Sometimes as a writer, you get an idea, you get something stuck in your head, and you can't do shit until you write it and get it thrown down there. And a lot of times I sit down with an idea and I'll just write. I don't plot it or anything. I won't even research it half the time, and I just write the damn story and let it tell itself. I have what I call an idea jogger, and essentially what it is, it's a 6-page document on my Microsoft Word, and it's all titles. The tomb, the casket, the urn, the gun, and I'll look at this list sometimes, and whatever jumps out at me, that's the story I'm going to tell. So,
wow, I mean, you are definitely been a storyteller. Oh, here we go, Mr. Miller, finally. Okay.
Oh, cool.
And is your audio working? He was having some audio problems earlier. I can't hear him. Can you hear him?
I can't hear him. I can see him.
Yeah, we can see him. We can see him talk.
I wish I could read lips. He looks upset.
Yeah, he looks frustrated. It's going to happen, man. I know you can hear us. It's all right. It's all right.
Can you sign?
You're
And
gonna
he's
have
got
to
a
just express yourself with smiles, frowns, and like you can like flick us off if say something pissed you off.
nope.
No. No, technical issues all around, dude. I mean, I don't know what's going on today. This is weird.
He's trying hard.
Yeah, he is, and um,
He's gonna write a story about this.
yeah, hopefully. I don't even know what's going on with Rebecca. I don't even know. She said she set up a Hangouts, but for the life of me, I'm not finding it, and that's not good. That's not good.
Oh man.
I know, right? But this is pretty good. I mean, your story is pretty. There's a lot of layers to it. A lot to talk about. And, I mean, you brought us some really good points about horror movies, like especially like Saw. The point of just being grotesque, just to be grotesque. Now you have a clone. He has a clone.
Okay, I'm on
I hear him.
right now. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep, I got you.
All right, I'll exit out of that, and then can you still see me and everything?
I can hear you. I can't see you.
Hear you?
Okay, just a sec.
All right, that's awesome.
All right, yeah, I was finally able to get this working. I'm not sure what the issue was before, but taken care of now. Let me see.
Okay, yeah. I'm getting information from Rebecca that we'll have to connect with her with another day.
All right, can you see me?
She's also in Australia too. I'll have to connect with
Australia.
her.
Wow.
I know, right? We're gonna see.
It must
That's one thing that's really awesome about this project is that
Yeah.
you know all these authors are coming from different areas. In fact, I'm actually getting kind of a hang up right now because like quite a few of them are from the other side of the pond, so to speak. So
Yeah, that's cool.
to them, it's gonna have to be like I have to do it in the morning or at night because people have lives with kids and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
things happen. So I'm supposed to hook up with another author this Sunday. I'm not exactly sure when, but it's going to happen either in the morning or in the afternoon during dinner time.
Cool.
All right. So now that Mr. Miller has joined us, we do his introduction. Wow, I feel so like kind of thrown by this, but Mr. Miller, Cain Miller, is the author of Blithe Town. If you haven't read that, it's a pretty simple short story. It's my take of it is one of those reminders of there's some towns, some places you don't want to get lost in. You don't even want to even drive through. I mean, it does sort of borrow that trope a little, if not a lot, but I enjoyed it. It was good. Now,
Thank you very much.
what was what's your inspiration behind that story?
I don't really know if there was like a specific inspiration for it. Really, I was just, I'm currently a student right now, and we just had this project where we had to just write a piece of fiction, just a short story, and I was just kind of sitting down for a while and was just kind of thinking about what I wanted to write about for the most part, and I've kind of gravitated towards horror for the most part because to me it's kind of a tricky genre to focus on because in the same way that comedy is kind of hard to write, what some people find to be funny, others find to be boring. And when thinking about horror, it's the same way. What some people think is funny, or what some people think is scary, others do not. And so I wanted to find it to kind of write a story that I thought was kind of like a middle ground almost, something that would put the characters in kind of a familiar situation that some of the readers might be accustomed to, like just, driving late at night, you don't really know where you are, you're getting kind of paranoid, you're getting, weird thoughts are kind of creeping into your head. And so from that point, I kind of wanted to take that idea and expand on it just a little bit, and get kind of creative with it in a way.
I see. So, I mean, have you ever been alone at night on one of those dark county roads?
Oh yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say alone a whole lot. I mean, I've done a lot of traveling, like when I was younger a bit, and through those experiences, I've kind of I've gone to like unfamiliar areas, and it's a very unsettling feeling. Oftentimes, you're in this unfamiliar territory, and I mean, these weird thoughts will come into your head, and you kind of get carried away. Your mind starts going to like these strange places, and you're getting paranoid. And so I think that just off of that, I tried to capture that feeling in a way, and I think that some people have felt that way before, possibly, just with like, say, if you're a tourist somewhere, if you've just recently moved to an unfamiliar place, and I was just trying to focus on a similar thought process that some people might go through during that experience.
Well, it definitely captures that feeling of being alone and being lost and being in an unfamiliar area. Now, I have to ask you, though, like, what were these two dudes doing, like, taking a road trip, like, at, that was like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning? Like, what were they doing? What's going on there?
I don't know. I guess that's, whatever you would like to picture them doing, whether it's maybe they're coming home from a vacation, maybe they were visiting someone, maybe they're going back home from somewhere, and I just kind of left it up to whatever you would like to picture them coming from. For me, it was just, it's whatever you think best suits the characters, and then I used kind of that background to just go ahead and put them in the scenario that they're in. So it's just kind of up to whatever readers would like to imagine, really.
Okay. So it wasn't like, I don't know, like, they weren't like lovers or anything. They weren't like going on some crazy road trip or anything like that. It was just, it could just be anything.
It can be whatever, really.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right. My last question I had on the story was, okay, so actually, you know what? Not last. That was coming up to mind. All right, this painting part, the part where they go into the hotel, and they find this painting. Have you by any chance checked out any of the other stories on Deadman Stone?
A few of them, yes. I've read the one that you were discussing just now, the one by Clive Carpenter. I read that one, and I've read a few of the others as well, like the ones from the last show, the 3 that were featured on there as well.
Okay. And because the reason I ask you is because there's a story called Painting.
Okay.
And it kind of reminded me of that a little bit because, I mean, it's fair to say that without giving away the ending of the story, that painting plays a huge role. I mean, it's definitely, foreshadowing.
Yeah. I mean, at first it's just kind of this creepy detail that you throw in, but then when you get to the ending, it kind of ties everything together. And that was something that was kind of tricky. I knew kind of what scenario I wanted to put these characters in, but I wasn't entirely sure of how I was going to map it out and how I was going to form a resolution. But when I kind of thought of that detail, I figured that I might as well go ahead and wrap it up revolving around that same aspect, though.
All right, and I mean that's. I mean, so I don't think Mr. Carpenter has read it.
I'm actually looking at it right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
I've got it on screen.
that you're a student right now.
Yes, yes, I am.
So, like, what grade? Like, what are we talking about?
So I just finished up my sophomore year of college, actually.
Oh, okay. So we're not
Yeah.
talking about high school or anything. That would be low. Okay.
No.
But you aren't at the legal age to drink either, right? You're like 20. Is that right?
20, yeah. I just turned 20 not too long ago.
All right. All right. So, do you have any other projects?
Not right now. I have a couple of stories that I'm working on right now. I'm kind of one that I'm outlining at the moment. The way I kind of go about it is I kind of just begin to outline certain things, map out certain details, and then I go about actually typing it up and working out the specifics of it. So right now I'm just kind of drafting out some stuff. That's about it though for my fiction, though. I do have a couple of other websites that I write for right now, but yeah, that's about it for my creative writing, though.
Okay. All right. I mean, what can happen here, being published at Deadman's Tome, is that, of course, as you know, it's more people read it and like it, and put comments on it, and it helps you out. And if it does get selected for an anthology, it gets like 10% on that as well. So every little thing helps at this point.
Oh, of course, right.
And sorry if I sound a little distracted. I'm not trying to be. I'm just noticing that since we're up and running now, it's I can go ahead and put out the new tweets and stuff like that. So kind of let people know that we're still around. That's kind of important. Otherwise, we're just kind of talking amongst ourselves, which is still it's not so bad. It's cool. It's good company. All right. So I don't know if you caught what we were talking about earlier. We were talking about Mr. Carpenter's story, Clive Carpenter. Confession. Have you read that?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Oh, what did you think about that story?
Oh man, I mean, I think you said it best. You said it was like maybe like the darkest story you've ever published, maybe. You said something along those lines, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it is. It is very. It is a very bleak story, but I thought it was interesting how you essentially just had these two characters, and the entire story was told through these flashbacks, through these tellings of the past, and with that, you're learning more about this woman who is like just pure evil, and
Definitely.
right, and it's just like slowly unraveling, and you're glued to what's going on right now.
Well, I'm glad you both enjoyed it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, it was a tricky task to write that one. I sat down and wrote it straight through, and then when I was done with it, I actually adapted it into a screenplay for a short film. And I found it pretty difficult to try to translate all of that dialogue into the script, and without having to write a bunch of scenes for like flashbacks. But what can you do? It's all dialogue. So.
So yeah, how did that go? You said you had it turned into a short film. Is that right?
No, I haven't shot it yet as a short film. I scripted it as a short script just to see how it would translate into a screenplay.
Oh, okay.
So it was pretty interesting to try to accomplish that because, like I said, the bulk of the story is it's all dialogue. It's all flashback to dialogue, and filmmaking is a visual medium. So
it is.
Back in the 40s and 50s, it was not unusual to have two characters sitting in a room for 2 hours just talking, a couple of talking heads. But now anymore, the audience want something fast. They want flashbacks. They want cut. So
yeah, I don't think you're going to be selling to the Fast and Furious crowd or anything like that. But
yeah,
I can see it though because there's movies where they have like transition shots and shots where there's a narration. There's a narrator.
Well, the way I've written the script is the old lady, Mavis, the old lady. She starts out as this fair-skinned old lady when Charlie Fane walks into her room, and as she tells the story, the further she goes along, the darker her makeup gets, the darker her face gets, and you can actually, through subtle light and subtle makeup, I would make her face a little darker. The further she goes on with the story, her whole demeanor changes.
Oh, of course. I mean,
Until by the end of the story, she's this craggy old lady who grabs the back of this guy's neck and does what she does. So.
No, in the movie itself, I mean, if you were to shoot this, I mean, how would you handle the darker scenes, the darker moments with the kids? I mean, you wouldn't show the kids.
I wouldn't shoot any of that. I wouldn't even show it. It would be total dialogue between these two characters. Actually, Clive Carpenter is my pen name. It was actually created as a character in an anthology horror film that I wrote back in the early 2000s. 2006, I wrote the script. It's called Mind Shadows, and it's about an old man named Clive Carpenter who writes horror stories. And we watch each story unfold on screen as he's writing it. And it's all taking place in his head, of course. But in the end of the movie, it turns out that there's a lot of truth to his horror stories. And I'm actually going to take the confession, and I'm going to make it one of the stories in that script. I'm going to take one of the stories out of that script and replace it with this one.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. But I won't show any flashbacks at all. It's all going to be total dialogue. And the actors are going to have to carry that script with, on the strength of their ability. That's how it should be. And a good director could bring that out. I mean, that's their job as a director. Our jobs as storytellers is to get your goat on script on the page. A director's job is to get your goat on screen, and that's his job. So
that is. Well, Mr. Miller, listen to Clive Carpenter. I mean, he could teach you a whole lot as far as diversifying and getting through. I mean, what's your major?
It's interesting that you talked about turning it into like a short film. I'm actually a film student myself, and so I've worked a little bit, with like screenwriting, and it's interesting because, I wanted to ask you, it's a very different medium when you're writing something like a script as opposed to a short story. The amount of detail is different.
Yes.
What you focus on is completely different, and so. Yeah, I thought it was interesting because you have the opportunity to kind of take your own work, but then expand on it and give it a different visual aid to kind of interpret it in a different fashion. I think that's very interesting how you're going to approach it in a different way.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, when it comes to writing a screenplay, there's no description really, and any director, any filmmaker worth his weight in gold will tell you, stop writing descriptive shit in your script. It's my job to show that, not yours. A section of a short story that could take 2 or 3 paragraphs to tell, you got to sum it up in one line in a script, and that's it. Whether it's a slug line dealing with the scene or whatever, even a transition. I mean, it's just boom, it's one word, and shut the fuck up. Let me tell the story. I have the camera, you have the typewriter. Let me do my job. And as a filmmaker myself, I mean, I've run across scripts that are so fucking detailed. It's like, dude, really? The sun is setting on the ocean and it's green, it's orange. And I know what a fucking sunset looks like. Shit, you don't have to describe it.
It's right sunset. I mean, the director.
Exactly. And I'm not into stories that are so long-winded with descriptions. I don't write that way. Actually, when I write a story, I'm actually writing it as if I'm telling it to you over a campfire. That's how I write. I write choppy. Sometimes my paragraphs are one word. And boom, 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 and I'm done with the story. I don't mind description in a lot of short. I read a lot of short stories that have a lot of description in them, and sometimes I'm looking at it going, okay, I know what a sunset looks like. I know what a babbling brook sounds like. You don't have to describe all the trickles and the tickles and shit in the water. Get to the point.
You get to all the description, and you start losing the reader because it's like, that's not what how babbling brook sounds like. That's not what it sounds like to me. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And like you said. Spend so much time on the goddamn detail. I don't need to know what your fucking table looks like, or every little nuance of this clothing. I don't give a fuck. Is he wearing a shirt? Is he not wearing a shirt? Like, what's going on?
the way I approach storytelling is, you know, I'm laying the groundwork for your imagination to run wild with whatever the hell I'm writing. If I say that they're sitting next to a babbling brook, it's up to you to decide what the fuck it sounds like. You know, it's up to you to decide what color the sunset is. You know, that kind of stuff. I just want I have to keep your attention. If I don't keep your attention, I'll lose you, and my story doesn't mean shit. And that's just the way I feel. That's how I approach storytelling. If I'm writing a short story, I'm visualizing it first, because as a filmmaker, that's what I do. I try to be as descriptive in my own head while I'm telling the story. And yeah, if I lose you through description, then I can't even think of what I was going to say. I haven't done my job. If I lost you, I haven't done my job as a storyteller. So
that's true. There's no point in losing the audience. You don't want that.
Yeah. I mean, some of the other stories I've written, I've got another story that I wrote called The Thing in the Hall. And
yes, I've read that one.
It's just a quick, dirty story that happens in the period of maybe 5 minutes, you know, and to this guy. But it's without a lot of description.
Like you turn that 5 minutes into what seems like an hour, but it makes sense though for that moment, what you're trying to capture in that moment. And Cain, one thing I'll say. I hate to bust your balls a little bit, okay? The only thing, when I read your story, when you were describing the, I don't know what he was, like the figure that messes with them, the nightmare, we call him. I swear, when I read that, like, was there not any inspiration from, like, Slenderman, or, like, he wasn't like a Voldemort sort of looking dude, was he? Because he kind of had a description to him. I was like, what's going on?
For mine?
Yeah.
It's weird. I think I got another comparison from someone else who read it, but honestly, that wasn't in my mind really when I was writing it. I just kind of wanted to imagine this thing that was kind of like unsettling, you know, and then just kind of used my imagination a little bit. I tried to give it this uneasy description. But I did get some comparisons on that though.
Well, now, before we were talking about, how, we're talking about storytelling and the sort of descriptions of what we need and what we don't need in storytelling. And how do you feel about that, Cain? Like, do you prefer a story that really goes into detail, describing every little thing, or do you feel like, if you just say a table's a table, maybe an oval table, maybe there's some history to it, but why describe the cuts and the little details to it?
That depends. It kind of depends on what you're looking to accomplish in your story. I'm obviously not an expert in on this question or anything, but I think it comes from what angle you're trying to approach. Some people are very straightforward with how they write. Like when I think of very blunt writing, I think of someone like Cormac McCarthy. If you've read The Road or No Country for Old Men or something, it's very, very straightforward and to the point. But then you have something that could be in incredible detail because possibly you're looking to put more attention on something, you want to emphasize why something is important, and so I think it really just depends on on how you're going to approach this story. For me, I try to find a middle ground. I don't want the writing style to be very straightforward because I feel like that can be kind of bland to read. But I don't want to get so meticulous with certain details that it becomes annoying to read, because sometimes that will happen. Sometimes they'll describe something to a certain extent where it's just okay, we get it. It's just a piece of furniture. It's just whatever, And so I think I try to find just a balance there. I like to describe things to a decent amount of detail, but then I don't. I mean, for some stuff, you assume that the audience will know what you're talking about.
Well, let me interject something here too. This is my Kanye moment. I'm gonna let you finish, but let me build on what I was saying earlier. When it comes to description, to me, like I said, I know what a sunset looks like. I know what a tire screeching sounds like. I know, that kind of stuff. But when it comes to describing something that nobody's ever seen or heard before, that's different. I'm reading through that piece right now in your story where you describe the creature. There's nothing wrong with that description at all. I'm reading the entire thing now, and there's nothing wrong with anything that you've written in the story. I like the story. So yeah, when I'm talking about going overboard with description, when it comes to describing something nobody's ever seen, if it's a planet in a sci-fi story nobody's ever seen before, you should describe that fucking planet. You should describe the spaceship in detail. But like I said, common everyday things like you just touched on it. It's a piece of furniture. You know what it is. It's a table with 4 legs. You know what a damn table looks like. But yeah, I mean, I just read that passage and yeah, about the creature, and it's spot on to me. I mean, I can see it in my head what it looks like.
It was short. It was short. It was to the point. It didn't go into whole detail. It wasn't like it's a paragraph on it.
Yeah.
And I used this reference many times before, but it's like when I think about when we talk about descriptions and problem with descriptions, losing the audience with it is Anne fucking Rice. Like, I swear to God, I don't even know why I read this. It's like, how many pages do you need to spend on describing a fucking article of clothing? I don't really care. Like, who's reading that? Like, I understand that you're this great writer. Okay, I got that. We'll give you respect. Okay, I got that. But here's the thing. Like, I think you do that because you can, and people just will eat it up and love it. Be like, oh my God, you can like describe every fucking thing. I just
a 500-page, freaking novel. It's come on,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of description in it. Yeah.
There's something wrong when a 500-page novel can be summed up in a tweet and you don't lose anything.
Yeah. I know what you're saying, because I actually tried to read Interview with a Vampire, and she had another one too. I forgot what the hell it was. I think it was a Mummy, her version of the Mummy or some shit. I tried.
Oh yeah,
I could not get through that book.
The Interview with a Vampire could be summed up in one tweet. Some dude turns into a vampire, doesn't want to be a vampire. It's kind of it. Has an emo vampire, a vampire that has moral, ethical problems of feasting. What, you want to go vegan? Like, I don't understand. Like, you're a fucking vampire.
Well, at least you didn't write Twilight, so.
Yeah, at least you didn't do that.
I'll stop there, because my fiance's a Twilight fan. So.
I'm not, and my wife's not. I was like,
but it's all fiction. There's nothing wrong with it. With a little imagination, but vampires are evil people.
Yeah, so. They're not like. I was like, they glitter. What the fuck are they glittering? Come on now. Seriously. Like, I understand that people will take, like, mythologies and make it their own, and that's what you just do here. But how do you turn from scorching and burning from the sunlight to they glitter? They glitter. That's what it is. They just glitter. Oh, okay. Cool.
Well, they're special vampires.
I mean, it's like in that universe there wouldn't be a need for a blade, because what's the point of being a daywalker when you can walk in the day with no problems?
Yeah. I tend to shy away from vampire stories altogether. It's a genre, just like the zombie genre, that's just been overdone. It's just saturated.
Yeah, I agree that I do receive a lot of zombie stuff, but actually only receive like 3 vampire stories. And 2 of them I actually had to, send rejection notices. I was like, I don't know about this one. And the one that is on there, and no offense to the writer, it's good. I enjoyed it, but I did do a piece on it. And if he's listening, if he does listen to this later, he's like, well, if you didn't like it, why did you publish it? But like, no, I did enjoy it. Like it wouldn't be far-fetched to say that it does kind of have like this sort of Van Helsing sort of feel to it, which is yay or nay. It's like it works for just a very short action flick. It doesn't go into whole detail, this whole like melodrama of being a vampire. It doesn't go into the whole like the the cliche tropes of all like, oh,
Yeah.
like what is up with vampires and the whole gothic imagery? Like, why does every vampire have to be like this fucking Nine Inch Nails like groupie? Or I don't understand that.
Well, I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot here anyway. I mean, I've written a couple of zombie stories, but I'm not a fan of the zombie genre anymore. I've lost my will to live when it comes to those guys. I've got one story in my book. The last, I think it's the anchor story in Brain Matter. It's called Stowaways. And Stowaways takes place in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico during a really violent tropical storm on board a cargo ship. And one of the shipping containers contained cadavers that were en route to a medical facility in the United States. And it turns out that they came from Haiti, and they're all zombies. They wind up breaking out and getting loose and take over the ship. And the story is told about one of the survivors trying to find his way to drop anchor so that the ship doesn't make its way to port and release the zombies here in the States. There's a fight between him, a shark, and a zombie. And then one of the screenplays that I wrote is called The Dead Reckoning. It's essentially a Cowboys and Zombies script. It's about these 16 cowboys in the Old West that slaughter an Indian village. And when the governor finds out, what's that?
And the Indians get redemption or something? I was like,
yeah, actually they do. When the governor finds out what these guys did, he hires a bounty hunter to track down the leader of the gang and bring him to justice. But what he doesn't know, what nobody knows, is there was a lone survivor from the Indian village, and he's the shaman. And he's actually raised all the warriors as zombies to get the scalps of the cowboys who murdered all of them.
And that sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty. Yeah.
It's actually my second book. It's a novella right now. I novelized the script into a novella, and I'm re-editing the story now, and I'm going to eventually pump that book back out, put it back out there for sale.
Actually, this is a great time. Since you're talking about your stuff, if you have anything you want to plug right now, now's the time to do it. I'll break this up into segments. Since Cain's been over there kind of quiet, Cain, do you have anything, any projects you want to plug? Do you have any other books out or any anthologies or anything?
I will say, this isn't creative writing, but I do have a couple of other websites that I write for and do some work for. If I could just give those a mention as well. Sure. The first one, I'm actually a writer for the combat sports website Funky Monkey MMA. I write articles for them as well as help co-host their podcast.
That's right.
We just interview different mixed martial artists and promoters and things of that nature, and we have a lot of fun doing that, so you can check that out. Again, that's Funky Monkey MMA. And
Funky
then
Monkey MMA.
Yes, the second thing is just I just recently, just about a month or two ago, I started writing for the website Music Existence, and I've had a couple of articles published there. I just talk about music, I review some albums, and yeah, if you're a music fan, I would suggest checking that out. And that was Music Existence. So yeah, those are a couple of projects that I'm doing right now.
All right, cool. All right. Any of them paying or lucrative or anything?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Any of them paying or lucrative?
They're actually not right now. They're more,
I would imagine so.
Right. Yeah. They're just hobbies right now. I just read something about just how difficult it is to make it as a writer online, and yeah, it just kind of sums up the whole ideas, like the struggles that everyone focuses on. But, I mean, I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt there, but just to make sure you understand, when I said, good luck on that, I wasn't meaning on, for you. I was saying in general, because, man, when it comes to writing, when it comes to, like, especially short stories, I mean, I mentioned this before in another video. You can Google like horror movie zines or whatever, and you can find a bunch of them. But a lot of them are closed down or not taking submissions, or I don't know what's going on. It's like they might have their circle of authors that they use, and they're not like really open. They say they're open, but they're not really open. That sort of thing happens too.
Right. 'Cause that's something that I was checking out too. Trying to do my best to get some of my fiction, just to get some people to check it out every now and then. I looked around and just tons of websites are just, not receiving submissions, not open right now, and it can be kind of a frustrating process.
I mean, I don't see. Honestly, I don't see Deadman's Tome closing down anytime soon. I'll definitely let y'all know if that were to happen. It would be way too early for that anyway. Because, I do pay. Of course, I'm kind of giving myself a window here. A year's time while your story's on the site. That's kind of me giving you an IOU that you guys will collect on one way or another. And what I'm going to do is monthly is give you guys updates as far as how your story's doing and all that stuff. So that way you can see the views, likes, and comments and all that. And that goes into, I don't see how this site would close down or have any problems, because right now it's at the rate to where I can afford it with my own pocket money, if you will. But of course you've probably seen it. I plug my shirt, the Deadman's Home shirt. I plug. We do have an anthology coming out, which I'll plug the hell out of that towards the end of this, because man, that's gonna be awesome. Because actually, I'm getting so much content now. We can actually start creating quarterly anthologies, probably even more. And that's really where the authors are going to make the money. Because think about it, you have like 9 or 10 different authors on one thing. Everyone's going to tell someone. I'm going to tell my people, and everyone knows about it. That's where you're going to start getting a little bit more. Maybe not enough to pay rent, but at least enough to maybe afford a case of beer. In your case, maybe like some soda.
Right.
You can get 4 cases of Dr. Pepper. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and for me right now, the big thing is I'm just trying to get my work out there and just trying to build somewhat of a resume and just gain as much experience as I can.
Well, I'll definitely get out there. My aim for this site, my direction is actually because Clive Carpenter really looking at his work is like, you know what? I think will really help put this site on the map if I start really trying to reel in some edgy, some really intense stuff. Now, I do have a line I'm not going to cross, but I really think that's going to put us on the map. And be like, okay, and all these stories are going to go everywhere. Crazy. That's my plan.
Well, I'll try to keep them as clean as possible. So
I'm not too worried about the profane or all that stuff. A few kids die here, a few kids die there, but it has a purpose.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna. I probably won't be writing any more kid-killing stories anytime soon. So.
Well, that's a good thing. Otherwise, you might be on the list. You might be already, because I do work for CPS, so you're already on the list. No, you're fine.
Sometimes as a writer, you have to do that one thing that's going to make people go, what the fuck? Or push the boundary. And once you do it, back off. Because otherwise, you become an asshole. People look at your shit and go, all this guy does is write, erotica. This is bullshit.
Otherwise, we might actually start thinking you do have problems with your family. Be like, we can give this guy some therapy.
Have you committed?
Yeah, right. But all right. So, and I know I'll give you time to plug your stuff. You mentioned brain matter and your various. What was it called? What was it called? Shed? The horror movie called Shed?
Oh yeah. The Shed.
Man, you got a bunch of stuff. Okay, how would you rate that movie? Be honest.
What's that?
Shed.
How do I rate it?
Yeah.
It's an award-winning film, so.
There you go. There you go.
I'm not patting my own back, but I had never won an award in my life when I made this movie, and it was the first film I had ever done. I didn't have any experience making a movie at all. I had no crew. It was just me, $250, and a few buddies. I found some friends that were actors at a local college, and I put my son in the movie to play one of the characters, and that was it. I sent it off to one of the largest film festivals in the country, the New York International Independent Film and Video Festival. It went through 5 legs of the festival. It went from New York to Miami, Chicago, I think Houston, and then out to LA and Las Vegas. And it won the award in Las Vegas for best horror film, best horror short.
Yeah, it was a lot
so
of work.
I had never won anything in my life, and I actually had the VP of the underwriting company, IT and distribution, calling me and congratulating me for winning an award. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, you won best horror at Vegas, and I'm like, cool. So he wanted to get some background on the film, and he said, well, how much does it cost you? I said $250, and he says, what? And it was a black and white film too. I shot it all in black and white, and he said, yeah, your competition was pretty stiff. We had 15-minute to 45-minute short films, anywhere from $5,000 to $35,000 dollars in budget, and your little $250 film just took the prize.
But you know what that is, though.
Yeah, and he said
you're resourceful. You know how to work with people. You know how to you found a bunch of actors in a local community college. They're willing to work for pretty much nothing. Maybe some food. Maybe even that. Maybe just water. But they have a reason to work. They want to better their career. And they're there for reasons, right? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a sign that, you could pay actors, you could find people and give them money, but you're just throwing money away. You're not going to you might not get good quality with that. But in your situation, $250, what did you spend it on? A camera?
No, I already own the camera. I own the sound equipment and everything. I bought the camera in 2000, wanting to learn how to make movies. A buddy of mine read a short story I wrote called The Shed, which has been lost to time now. It was actually on a computer that I had that crashed, and I never printed the damn story. But he read The Shed, and he says, dude, you know how you always wanted to make a movie? This should be your first film. I'm like, okay. So, he actually produced the music in the movie. He put the music together for me. It took me 2 months to shoot the damn thing on a computer that crashed constantly. I put the finishing touches on it the day that we showed it in the movie theater. I had some friends that manage a big movie theater in town, and I actually put one of their assistant managers in my movie to kind of finagle my way into the theater. We had 8 sold-out showings over 4 days. I gave all the money to charity, and that was the beginning of my filmmaking career, I guess you could say. If you could watch the film, it's online for free. That one, Chlorine. Another one of my short films is called Chlorine. It's about a haunted hotel, essentially. There's a security guard that takes on his first night in this hotel. He is told of the last security guard that worked in the hotel, who was an alcoholic, and a young boy dies in the hotel swimming pool. And you just have to watch. You can watch the film and see for yourself if you like it or not. It's actually, if you go to Scorpios Media, it's Scorpio with an S at the end, scorpiosmedia.wix.com/Scorpios Media. It'll take you right to the website, and you can watch it. Both of those for free. You can see what I've got in development. Yeah, I've got 4 screenplays in development. I have an action script. I've got a horror script called Chirp. It's about these 4 friends that are chased through the streets, late night streets of Detroit by a half-man, half-bat creature that was created back in World War II that still is on the hunt today. Dead Reckoning, my Cowboys and Zombies one. And then Brain Matter, which is my horror anthology starring Clive Carpenter. So, but yeah, I mean, I got into filmmaking quite a while back. I love doing it. I'm a storyteller, just like Cain is. It's just, it is what it is. I enjoy freaking people out. I enjoy thrilling people. I was a stand-up comic for a long time. I love telling stories. I've got another book I'm working on. It's Brain Matter 2, Mind Shadows, and it's actually going to have another collection of just different stories, and they're different types of horror stories. There's a ghost story. Lana is a ghost story. Mm-hmm. There's The Thing in the Hall, which is kind of a demonic, not really a demonic story. You've read it. It's yeah. There's another one I'm working on called I'm working on one called Ma Kwai Village, and it's actually a horror story that takes place during the Vietnam War. So.
Oh, that sounds pretty awesome. So you have a bunch of stuff. So you're all out there. Wow.
Yeah, I try to keep it.
To let you know, I can let you know now. I think I said it before that Lana, like, I'm probably gonna send you an agreement notice about that pretty soon because that one, I was a toss between that and the thing in the hall.
Yeah.
The thing in the hall, I was like, what's your stance on gun control? Not to get all political, but it was like, oh.
Yeah, that is actually, it's a caution. Well, thing in the hall is kind of a cautionary tale. I believe in our rights to bear arms, to protect ourselves. I really stand on that. But that story is about what happens when somebody. And I never really describe in the story whether or not this thing is actually in his house or if he's just seeing things. So something triggers in this. Something happens in this guy's brain. Yeah, and he thinks he's seeing something, which is actually the only other story I've ever written where a child dies. So that's it. That's the extent of my child killing.
There is a goddamn pattern here. I'm just joking. So, this is a pretty good segue. So we're talking about movies and all. Before we talk about, you brought up a good point I wanted to kind of get back to. It's like, it's kind of with horror stories, there's no, it's cool to be violent and edgy at times, but just to be edgy for the sake of edgy, it comes off as cheap. It comes off as like one of the Saw movies.
Yeah.
You can't stand those things. I mean, and with the Saw movies, it's like there is something wrong when the plot of your movie is so cheesy that it's something that like a porno you would expect. There's better acting in a porno than in your fucking movie. There's something wrong when that happens. And I think of the Saw movies when think of that. I mean, some maybe could argue maybe the second one had some intrigue, but then after that it was just one big slaughter fest all the way through and through.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's torture porn, and I'm not into that kind of stuff. I don't find it fascinating. I don't find it scary at all. The scariest movie I have ever seen in my life is Jaws. I saw it when I was 12 years old. We lived on the coast when I saw it. No film has scared me to this date as bad as Jaws did. This shit can really happen. You don't know what's lurking beneath you in the water. It's a mystery.
No. I know I like going to the beach and all, but I hate getting so far in the water. It's like I don't know what's going to happen out there. I get worried about fucking jellyfish. I'm like, I don't want to have to pee on my leg or whatever I have to do to get rid of the sting. I'm like, what am I going to do? But what about you, Cain? What's the scariest movie you've seen?
Oh man, scariest film I've ever seen. Well, I mean, I'm in the same boat. I don't find films, horror films that rely entirely on violence. I don't really find those to be all that scary. Some of them can be entertaining if they're so over the top. But the scariest film I've ever seen. Let me think. I know that the original Nightmare on Elm Street always comes to mind.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I think that's always a classic. Other films that tend to creep me out a lot. Blair Witch Project, I think, still does it for me. It relies on that idea that what you don't see is scarier than what you do see. But one thing, though, I mean, over these past few years, there have been an abundance of independent horror films that I think have really risen to the occasion. Like, these past few years have been really great for independent horror. You've had films, however you feel about them, with films like The Babadook, It Follows. Yeah, and then
I watched it one day with my son. My son, he's like 2. So we do this thing now where we go Babadook, Babadook. And he knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's funny. Babadook, Babadook.
Right. And you have these films, like you have other ones. There was one called Starry Eyes that came out that was very good.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
It's a good one. I think it's on Netflix right now. But just like these past few years, there's been these great low budget horror films that don't rely on a ton of violence. There's some, but they rely more on just good storytelling.
Yeah,
and I
like
think
I think slow burn is being a trend now.
definitely.
Well,
Like slow burn.
I think I'm sorry, Ken, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I think It Follows is probably one of the best ones to come out in the past couple of years. I like It Follows a lot.
Yeah, and like we were saying before, when you have these like slow burn horror films, I mean, like some ones that came out before, I think of stuff like there was one called Resolution that came out that I thought was great. There was one called Honeymoon that I think is great, and they're these just like these all came out within the past like few years or so, and they're slow burn. They're films that really take their time, and that's what makes them interesting to watch. They're not they're not riddled with jump scares. Many of them don't actually have much music in them either, so you don't have that like jolt of like loud noise or anything like that. And so with that, they rely entirely on their storytelling, and that's what makes them so scary.
And that's good. There's a value to the art when they do that. I mean, relying on jump scares, that's fucking dumb. I don't even think, I can't really recall what a jump scare actually was effective. Maybe when I was young, when I was little, it was startling, but after a while you expect it. Especially, when that music is playing just right and like, okay, you expect it.
Yeah, there are only so many closets that fucking cat can jump out of.
Yeah.
This shit gets old, man. I think my favorite jump scare in any horror film is Alien, the chest burst in Alien. Probably the best jump scare in movie history, I think. I love that one.
The reason that jump scare worked so well is because the cast was unaware of it. I don't know. Yeah, because like the cast, like they weren't told, so it was a jump scare to them. So it was effective for them. So obviously it was effective for the audience as well.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That was a good one.
That's a good way to get genuine reactions.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that the best horror films I think do need to rely on just simple storytelling rather than the jump scares. I mean, you see, like every like few weeks, there's always this very generic horror film, generic slasher films, and they are what they are, but they don't really stick with you. Oftentimes, like why I think the independent horror genre has flourished as of these past few years is because it's been this more respect to the story. I think people are writing very smart scripts, and thus they stick with you longer, and that's what's going to make them age better. That's what's going to that's what's going to let people appreciate them more. And the problem is, a lot of mainstream audiences don't really see it that way. A lot of the mainstream audiences like the jump scares, but I think that for a horror film to really, really thrive, it just has to have that interesting story aspect. It has to have some possible twists and turns, and I think that that's what's going to really cement them and make them more memorable with people.
I agree with that. Yeah.
One thing I noticed too, I don't know if you guys have noticed. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but people are like overdone with the whole like paranormal activity stuff. Like, they use that. They're like, okay, we found something. It's so cheap and easy to make, and it's going to bring back a huge investment. It's going to bring back a lot of money. But they milk that thing to the point to where if you watch them, it's like any sort of story that they have in it. It's like, what's going on here? It's just like, what are they going to do next? What's the next little thing? What's the next little trick they're going to do to try to scare me?
Yeah. Anytime I go to Redbox or whatever, and I grab a low-budget horror flick, when I turn it on, if the first fucking thing I see is found footage bullshit, I shut it off.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of the fuck. What we're doing right now on this podcast could be a found footage film. It's so fucking stupid. I'm so sick of seeing this shit. It's like Blair Witch Project did the best. Blair Witch Project was the Jaws of the found footage genre, and they should leave it at that. Stop making the shit, the shaky camera work and everything. There's no story there. It's just stupid.
Mm-hmm. It's very lazy, and it's hard to. I don't see how anyone can have any sort of artistic direction with it, because you're pretty much relying on the raw look of just a camera, just capturing things without any real editing to it, any editing other than maybe some cropping.
Yeah.
And that's it. You're not really worried about the lighting, because you don't really give a fuck about the lighting. You're just going with it. Whatever happens, happens. Anyone can film that. You know, you could be drunk off your ass and film that shit.
Yeah. Just take an iPhone and shoot something. And that's I was listening to what you had to say about the independent films and what's going on, you know, anymore nowadays, and it's good. There's been a nice awakening with the independent film, you know, genre the industry. But the problem with that is technology nowadays gives everybody, you know, who has a camera the power to be a filmmaker, even if they don't have any business being a filmmaker. Turning, you know, little Johnny's birthday party into a fucking movie just because you have a camera isn't the best way to go about. But here I am bitching about it, but they're the ones that have got the movies out there. They're the ones that are in the Redbox or in Netflix or whatever, and you're paying to see these things anyway. So they're laughing all their asses all the way to the bank. You know, so shitty movie or not, you paid to see it.
So, like, I have the green light to watch Chlorine and Shed because they're free. I can go on find them online for free. But would you have any objection to me recording like a reaction thing to them?
Oh, I don't care. I mean, they are what they are. They're low budget short films. They are what they are, man. I mean, watch away.
All right.
You know, you can't take criticism personally when it comes to this business. If you do, then get the fuck out of it. You know. So.
In fact, you know, that's one thing we can end on really is the dread, especially with Cain. I mean, Cain. I have in the room Cain and I have Clive. Clive is like this. He has like this experience. He has a huge resume. Sounds like Clive. Sorry, and then Cain. Man, you're like this fledgling. You're there, and you're like right in the same room with and Clive, who could help you.
Oh, I haven't made it yet.
But
Cain is young, and Cain is poised for greatness. He's young. He's got the whole world ahead of him. Yeah, he's in the right spot right now.
But the path towards greatness, oh man, that is a hard path. Cain, what do you know about the hard path?
Oh man, yeah, I mean,
you got a collage of rejection letters.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's the thing, though. You just gotta stick with it. I mean, like I said right now, you know, with a lot of like the work online that I do, I mean, I don't get compensation for that. I do it because I like doing it and because it's good experience for me. And you just kind of gotta keep like working and keep creating new content and just keep putting your stuff out there and just wait to see if, you know, just see if it draws any attention to it. Mm-hmm. And I think that will put you kind of on a path to it. But I think that the biggest thing, though, is just keep doing it just because you enjoy it, you know? Like, I write because I like writing. And if you get to the point where if you keep doing something and you're not liking it anymore, then there's not much of a point to really doing it anymore, you know? So I think that the big thing for me is to just take enjoyment out of it, to like doing what I'm doing, and then I think I'll be in a good place.
Yeah. Have you ever received a custom rejection letter that was like, I don't know, that was demoralizing or anything like that?
Oh man, let me think. One thing, I don't know if this is like a rejection letter or anything. I've just I was job hunting a few weeks ago, you know, because it's summer right now. I'm kind of in between semesters, and I was like, I'm just kind of looking for like some work to keep me busy, and so I just sent like applications after application. Then I would just get this like long list of like rejected job application stuff. So I mean, it's nothing like too big, but it can be kind of demoralizing just like seeing this like list of like, no, you're not going to be doing that. And so I mean, there's that, but I mean, that was just kind of like a small example, though. You're gonna have like experience with me. I mean, I send in pieces of my writing to websites and various outlets like that, and you're sometimes lucky if you receive a rejection letter, because oftentimes you won't even hear back from them at all, and that in and of itself is rejection. And you just kind of gotta, you can't let that hold you back, though. You just gotta keep pushing for it and keep trying to get that attention that you want and get that to kind of find your audience in a way. You just got to kind of keep going for it.
That's true. That's true. Now, Clive, what can you say?
Oh man,
There's something that's like warning to do what you just said. That's all nice stuff. But let me tell you, sometimes it gets rough. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
It can. I mean, I've had early on in doing this, trying to get stuff published, and long before the internet gods graced us with their presence, sending out hard copies of these things, going through the process of making copies of your stories and making sure that every page is in order, and then mailing them out, only to wait months and months and months to finally get a rejection letter. That was a little more heart-wrenching than looking at an email going, okay, you didn't like it, fine, whatever. Because, I mean, anymore it's just like drag, drop into my email, here's a story, boop, we're done. You don't like it, fine, here's another one. But way back in the day with snail mail, man, it was like, holy shit. You were better off knocking on doors or slipping your shit under somebody's door trying to get something that way than waiting for so long to get these rejection letters, because it was hard to get them. I mean, I got a lot of them early on. I still get them sometimes. I don't care. It doesn't matter anymore to me. Like I said, I'm not looking for fame and fortune. I just I'm a storyteller. If you didn't enjoy the story, cool. But I never actually got a rejection letter that told me we didn't like the story. I've always gotten them. This isn't what we're looking for. This isn't. It's a good story, but this isn't what we publish, or it doesn't fit the criteria. It was never, your writing fucking sucks, that kind of stuff. I have a friend who has got a few letters kind of like that, but I never received one, thank God. I mean, if you can't take rejection, you don't belong in this business. I mean, Cain knows that all too well, I'm sure.
Exactly.
I mean, from what you just said, you've had your fair share of rejection letters, and it's nothing personal. It's just not what they want.
Yeah. I mean, it's just something that you kind of got to get used to. Don't really take it too personally. You might get that sense of rejection, but you just, you can't let it hold you back. Though you just got to keep doing what you enjoy doing and keep at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And to be honest, I haven't really sent out many rejection letters, though. I've been fortunate with the content I've been receiving. Sometimes things do get kind of lost. Like there's an email that I have just never looked at before. I'm like, how did I miss this? And someone's story, I can't recall their name right now, but when I read it, I was like, holy fuck, I've almost passed this guy up, and that story was good. Shit. So I talked, and I was like, you remember your story? Actually, no. Now I remember. He asked me. He was like, you sent me an email saying that my submission wasn't lost in some void, but I'm starting to think otherwise. I'm like, I did? Okay, let me look at this. Holy shit, I did. And, okay, yeah, your story is awesome. I don't know what I was thinking. That right there is just a glimpse at, this is pretty much a one-man operation right now. So if I get distracted in my life, with my job and things I have to do, it's just going to be that way. Sometimes things get overlooked. When it comes to rejection, when I actually do give it, I try to be, I'm not going to just give a form, like a statement. I want to let you know what the problems were, but, I'll let you know what was good about it. I told this one guy that I enjoyed the story, but there were just, I understand one or two grammatical problems here and there, but it was quite a few. It was a bunch. I was just like, it was like the tense wasn't right. It wasn't like it went past tense, present tense for effect. It didn't really make a whole lot of sense within a sentence. I'm like, I just can't. Like, just fix this up. The story's cool, but just fix it up.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a lot of people that have read, picked up a copy of Brain Matter and read one of the stories and just come back and tell me this isn't how you structure a sentence. This is an incomplete sentence, or this is
Yeah.
you should have a comma here. Or I'm like, I know how to write. I know grammar, dude, but this is my writing style.
Yeah.
I am writing this story as if I'm telling it to you, mouth to ear.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, I know there's, a lot of people, they're just grammar Nazis, and that's fine. I mean, honestly, I'm a grammar Nazi myself. Especially when it comes to texting. When they take their text, when they take what they write in text and they translate it into the written form, like in a letter, it's like, all right, motherfucker, there's a difference between texting and actually writing a long, drawn-out letter. You should at least, be a little more grammatically correct with your letters. But my writing style is, a lot of times short, choppy, to the point. Sometimes my paragraphs are one-word paragraphs in a row, several in a row like that. If it's a cowboy that's drawing his gun and he shoots a bad guy, my paragraphs are he drew, he fired, he reholstered, bam, bam, bam. It's just I like it like that. To me, it's got a nice flow to it. It keeps it moving.
And doing it that way, it describes the action in a way that makes sense. It's like boom, 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 like fast, like you said.
Yeah.
That works. Okay. And of course, I'm familiar with rejection myself, and I'm also familiar with the closing and the weird policies of submissions, and that's what I know. You asked before, Clive, about what led to Deadman's Tome, and we're just kind of like shooting the shit. That's really what it was around 2006 is actually when it first started, but then things happened and the site just kind of sat there for a while, and then I was like, yeah, I'm probably not going to do anything with it, and then it's like, this is kind of like the rebirth of it. It's kind of like coming back, and really, to be honest, it is back better than what it has been before. The content's much better. I think the direction's much better. It's because one, I'm paying now, but before I wasn't paying because I was like, how am I going to do that? I got a slightly better job to where I'm like, okay, I can kind of afford it. So I think that helps for the content a little bit, but
yeah,
I feel overall that the direction's better. But what led to that was just seeing all these. I would go to different sites and I'm like, okay, this magazine's closed down. This magazine closed down. My aunt gave me this Writer's Digest, one of those Writer's Digest where it has a whole bunch of different.
The Writer's Market.
Yeah, Writer's Market.
Yeah, I used to have that.
Yeah, it was kind of sad when the recent one. It was maybe like a year old, but a lot of the places were either shut down or they weren't open. And I understand that magazines are open for a little while and they're closed because whatever. I don't know. And going back to the direction, I kind of think that what I'm doing now with the site is, okay, what I don't like and what I do like. What I don't like is it's not really a magazine. It's not really an e-zine. It's more just a blog right now with anthologies that are due to be released here and there. But the way it's set up, anyone can read it on the go without having to download like a file on their Kindle or whatever, which they'll have that option later on when the anthologies come out. But anyone can access it on the go. So if you're sitting in the DMV and you're bored off your ass, you can look at Deadman's Tome and start reading reading stories. You can do this wherever you don't. So I like that, the ease of access. And dude, lately I've been coming out with short stories of different content almost on a daily basis. It's easy now, but next year what it's going to be like is holy fuck, I have a week where I'm paying all these authors all this which is gets to my last point. Selling the shirts, selling the fucking shirts. As you could probably expect, because of all the technical issues, our viewer count has been like this is kind of sad actually. I'm not gonna tell you, but I'm pretty sure that it's gonna be okay. Like last time when it was live, maybe like 30 people watched it. Afterwards, like 200 people have seen it. So the word gets out. People share it and all that stuff. But if you spent this much time with us, definitely check out the Deadman Tome t-shirts. All those links are going to be in the description box below. On the website, it's going to be there. And we have an anthology coming out called the Best Deadman Tome Book of Horrors. It has 10 different short stories in it. It's great. I mean, it's going to be coming out. I sound like Donald Trump. It's great. It's going to be big. It's huge. It's huge. It's going to be awesome. You're going to want it. But that's set to release in July 1st, but we're already taking pre-orders on it. You can pre-order it now. That way it's delivered instantaneously once it comes out. And also I'm thinking, you know what would be even better? Those that pre-order, if like we can get those that pre-order with the authors involved so that we can have like some sort of cool private hangout. A lot better than this one. A lot better than what happened here. Which I kind of learned what happened here today, which is so strange because normally I'm able to send out the invites and people just join. But you guys had to call me through my email address, my other email address.
Yeah, it was kind of a headache. It took a while to finally get off the ground, but yeah, we got it. So
see, I do this versus like Skype because we can all connect and record and all that stuff, and it's all one easy thing. But the whole connecting thing is a pain in the ass. The next live show will probably be done differently. Probably have a whole different setup. It's going to have to be. I'll try it out. If there's technical issues that fuck it up, I'll just navigate it.
yeah.
Lastly, I mean, one thing I try to end on is, what do you guys like about Deadman? Oh,
What's that?
Oh, what do you guys dig about Deadman Tome?
Cain, I'll let Cain answer that one first, and then I'll follow.
All right. Well, yeah, man. I think it's a great site right now. You know, I'm an avid horror fan myself, obviously, and so I enjoy sites that just kind of take that approach where you can just go through, you can read down an entire list, like the way that the page is laid out. You just have like story after story after story, and you'll read just like such diverse and interesting content, stories that are so different and so unique, but still very good. I think that it's very interesting how you have this layout where you can just log right on, and you don't really know what kind of story you're going to be getting yourself into, but it's always going to be a good read. It's always going to be very entertaining, and so that's something that I definitely appreciate about it. It's something that you can just log right onto. You can find some very good stories, even if like the story material isn't really your cup of tea. You can still obviously acknowledge that they are very well written stories and very well thought out pieces. And so I like that you can just go right in, find a story, find one that's always going to be unique to you, and just have a good read and enjoy the experience.
All right.
Yeah, I like the. First of all, I can appreciate the fact that the Deadman's Tome is even out there. I had never really heard of it until I saw you guys on the Horror Writers group on Facebook. But I mean, giving all of us a platform, giving writers a platform, new writers, established writers, whatever it is, giving us some place to show off, what we do. That's what I like about it. Since we've been talking here, I've been glancing through a lot of the stories and just skimming over what's actually in the archives as well. And even if I never get a dime out of this, just people being able to read what I've written,
Oh,
People being able to be, well, I mean, I'm not saying that you won't pay. What I'm saying is, even if there wasn't any money involved, the fact that you've given me a platform to let people read what I put to paper, that I can appreciate. That's really important. That means more to me than anything else. People being able to read what I've written. I mean, what's the point in writing something? What's the point in painting something if nobody's ever going to see it? And I'm not saying that every artist has to be able to put their shit out there, just for the sake of putting it out there to be seen. But there are a lot of artists that sit on their creations, and when you find it in an attic somewhere covered in dust, you look at it and go, "This is beautiful. How come nobody's ever seen this before?" That's how I look at sites like Deadman's Tome, where you got writers from all walks of life, all age groups, no matter what they're doing, being able to showcase what they do, and instead of sitting in a closet somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, and even if like I said, even if I never see a dime, even if it wasn't a paying site, I wouldn't care. Just the fact that you put my story up there is badass. I can appreciate that. So
that's awesome. That's good. All right. Well, with that said, guys, it's been great. We got our time in, even though it's later than usual, and hopefully, people will watch this when it's in processing and all that stuff. I think we talked about some pretty cool stuff. With that said, guys, it's been awesome. Unfortunately, it's sad that Rebecca wasn't able to join us, but I'll try to get contact with her next time and see what we can do. With that said, we're good, man. I'm gonna stop the broadcast.
All right. Well, it was a pleasure meeting everybody. It was a pleasure talking to everybody, and thank you to all the listeners out there tuning in, clicking in, whatever you had to do to get in. I appreciate it. Thank you for enjoying Confession, and I hope I can put more stories out there for everybody.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. I just want to thank you guys for having me. It's been a great time. I thought we talked about some very interesting stuff. I want to thank you for having Blithe Town on your website. I'm glad that it's on there. Like we were saying earlier, I'm just glad that it's out there on a medium that people can read it at, and I'm hoping to possibly put some more stuff on there as well.
All right. That's awesome. All right, guys, with that said, we're cutting it off.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.